Hi everyone, this is Krista and this is Raphael. If you're new to this channel, I post sporadically on just about anything, but I mostly focus on horses and personal finance because I own 4 horses and they cost a ton of money. I also post occasionally on personal finance for horse people because I am interested in both horses and personal finance. If you think you might be interested in either one of these topics or the combination of them both, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified every time I post a new video. In this video, I will be talking about my wonderful, obnoxious, head-flipping, hard-to-bridle horse, Raphael, who is right here. I just pulled him out of the pasture. He has his face mask on, so, I mean, even though he doesn't like to wear a bridle, he wears a face mask. This is a follow-up video to one I did a few weeks ago, in which I demonstrated my get-her-done approach to bridling this horse through all his head-flipping splendor. Actually, in that video, I did do a couple of things, and I don't know if everyone was aware I did, but I did use a couple of very common training techniques, one being negative reinforcement. I did not make this concept up. This concept is talked about extensively in a book called Equitation Science by Paul McGreevy and Andrew McLean. It's a very common approach to training horses, and basically it focuses on pressure and release. So the pressure would be the reinforcement, like this, and he puts his head down, and then once he puts his head down, I release it. So I am taking away that reinforcement. So that is why it's called negative. The other thing I did in that video, because my approach to negative enforcement was highly ineffective, I used a concept called positive reinforcements, where I took a treat and I just had it in my pocket. I didn't even have to give him the treat, but he already knew, and he accepted the bridle, and then I gave him the treat. So the treat was the reinforcement, and then I added it once he did the behavior I wanted him to do, which would be positive reinforcement. Now, I got a lot of wonderful feedback on that video. Thank you so much for that. It just also gave me some inspiration on seeing if I could do some more with this horse as far as bridling goes, and have it be a little bit more successful without having to use treats in order to bribe him. So I haven't done a whole lot of work with this horse yet, but I did do some research using some very high-fangled research tools called Google and YouTube. And I found a video by Warwick Schiller. And this was also bridling a difficult horse video. And I'm gonna play a little bit of that video in here and just give you some observations on what I saw in the video and how I might use some of these concepts to improve my technique with this horse.
And I go, g'day, I'm Warwick Schiller, and today I want to talk to you about bridling horses. This one here is a 17-1 Andalusian that has bridling problems. I've had him for about 2 weeks now, and had bad bridling issues. Okay, had pulled and run away and all sorts of things. I have not been anywhere near him with a bridle. He hasn't seen a bridle for 2 weeks. All I've worked on is all the basics, okay, which I think most problems are a lack of basics. They're not an actual issue themselves. Work with this horse, when I went to put the halter on him, when I put my hand here, he stuck his head in the air. You know, so if they can't do that, they probably can't be bridled. But anyway, today I'm going to put the bridle on him. What work am I going to do? nothing. I think just by going through all the basics leading up to this, I have probably fixed all the problems he had. So I'm about to put the bridle on the hard-to-bridle horse. So I'm going to make sure I can do that. Can I bring this bridle to here? That looks good. I'm going to put it under there. That looks good. I'm going to... Oh, now there's a bit of an issue.
Mr. Schiller, can we see that again?
So I'm going to make sure I can do that. Can I bring this bridle to here? That looks good. I'm going to put it under there. That looks good. I'm going to... Oh, now there's a bit of an issue.
So there's a couple things that Mr. Schiller has mentioned in this video about how he's addressing this problem. First of all, he mentioned that he has worked with his horse on the basics. I'm not sure exactly what he means by basics by watching this particular video. I'm sure he's had other videos on his channel in which he discusses that in more detail, but it looks like he has done some training with this horse prior to addressing this bridling problem. The second thing he's doing is he's breaking this process down into steps, and he has identified one particular area in which the horse is resistant. Now let's see what he does from here.
Now there's a bit of an issue. So I can put my finger in his mouth and he opens it when there's a bit involved. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to back up a step. Okay, because I have been able to do this. I can put my finger in his mouth, there's no problem. I can touch the top of his ears, no problem. So he should be able to have the bridle in. But he looks like someone has banged him in the front teeth with the bit and he thinks he's supposed to avoid it. So what I'm going to do right now is take my lead rope and I'm going to have it be a bit, and I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to, see right then he flipped it back out. I'm going to try to keep it in there, but that's the bridling problem. That's the part I haven't addressed yet. It's not a bridling problem, it's a getting anything in his mouth problem.
Warwick Schiller has identified the problem here as getting anything in the horse's mouth. I don't think that's the problem I'm having with Raphael, as he is eager to put just about anything in his mouth, except the bit, of course. He actually starts flipping his head when I either put my hand on his nose or put the bridle near his head. So I am going to look at his issue again, keeping in mind the idea of breaking the problem into steps and trying to identify where I start experiencing problems. As an aside, I'm not going to play the entire Warwick Schiller video here, but I will add a link to the full video in the show notes below. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Warwick Schiller, he is a fairly renowned trainer who primarily focuses on training reining horses. However, he also works with other types of horses, and he kind of has this nice, entertaining, folksy approach to storytelling about training horses and his demonstrations on YouTube, or he also has his own subscription service too. I don't belong to it. I actually did, however, join Horse TV, and he has a series on that channel as well called The Principles of Training. And I've actually used some of these principles before. One of them was introduced to me by my regular trainer. Yes, I do have a regular trainer. I actually have two of them. They are both dressage trainers. And my trainer had mentioned that we call it the bunny basket, but Warwick Schiller calls it don't go to bed angry. And that's kind of like when you're married and you have an argument with your spouse, you try to resolve it before you go to bed. The same thing with the horse. He told a story about this lady that was riding her horse on a trail, and there were rabbits coming out. Everyone came out to ride. I don't even know which horse this is anymore. I've got so many of them. But they were coming out. The rabbits were coming out. And the first one, there was no problem. Second one, they kept coming out. And then finally she got to the 12th rabbit on the trail. And the horse freaked out at that particular rabbit and bucked her off and ran home. So what he had said, and there's another trainer, let me see if I can get his name. His name is Harry Whitney. He described Harry Whitney. He has a concept called the worry cup. And it depends on what type of horse you have. I mean, some horses are really tolerant of stuff. Some horses are not. This horse is, for the most part, he's pretty tolerant. But then when he has a bad experience, like with the bridle, he kind of loses his mind. And then in those cases, I don't think any training methods are going to help him that much. I just have to diffuse whatever loss of mind he has and try to bring him back to having a good state of mind. So that was so I call it the bunny basket because, like I said, or the cup of worry, every horse is individual. Some are very tolerant, some are very intolerant. My Arab has a very small bunny basket. He gets worried really easily, and I have to diffuse that before I even try to work with him again, or it just goes really haywire. So that was one of the principles I am going to add to this video. The other one is called the Donkey Kong principle. And in this one, Warwick Schiller describes this video game called Donkey Kong. If you're from the 80s or whatever, you probably know it. If you're younger than that, maybe not. But most video games, I think Mario Brothers or every one of them, you have to go through the levels. So you go through the levels, and if you mess up and get killed, you can't just start at the level you left off at. You have to go all the way to the beginning and go through all those levels again. And that is a principle that he calls the Donkey Kong method. Now, usually what happens, I can relate to this because I've had horses that I've tied up on a hitching line or hitching post for years, and then they pull back once, and then all of a sudden it's like they lose their mind and they never want to get hitched again. So then you have to go back to the beginning and kind of almost train them over again. Luckily, if they've known it once, it usually comes back a little easier the second time. So that is the Donkey Kong principle. We are going to use both those principles in this approach with Raphael today. And I'm going to start, I've got his bridle here and his fly mask here. I'm just going to start with some basic stuff like Warwick said in his video, and try to lower his head and do some of the things that I think he will be okay at, and then we'll work up from there. Okay, I'm going to just take this off underneath his halter. Okay, there's other things I have in this video I did not have in my first one. One is a helmet. My wife told me, you know, I don't want him to hit your head with his flippy head because it weighs a lot and it can injure me. So I did put on a helmet. Most of the time I only wear this when I ride, but today I'm going to wear it when I work with him, just in case he hits me in the head with his head. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this off. It's pretty easy to take off. He's not that bad with this type of stuff here. I am going to just do a little bit of flexing with him. Let's throw that over there for now. And see if I can kind of position his head. He gets a little stiff here, you know. He does put his head down. Most of the time he does what I want him to do with this. I haven't used the bridle head. Here it is a little stiffer on this side. Let's see if I can lower his head. Good boy. So he does that pretty good. And that, you know, that we have to count these as successes, especially when we're working with horses. They don't have the same goals that we do, but he is doing most of these exercises pretty good. Now the other thing I had done is I had taken his halter off. Oh, now he's getting a little impatient. So when he does this, that means he's emptying his bunny, or he's stacking up his bunny in his bunny basket. I may have to diffuse it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take this, put it around his neck. He's not wandering off yet, but he does move his head around here. I'm going to see if I can do a little bit. I don't have as much control over him. So right now, because I don't want him to get real bad. Oh. Okay, so the bit doesn't go in the mouth, but the halter sure does. And so since I don't want him to get really bad, I will just keep the halter on because I want control. Maybe walk him around a little bit. I can do this. Usually what I do is I walk him around. I try to get him to bend with the curvature of the circle. It's better if you have like a whip or something to bend their shoulder out. So now he's a little bit better as far as the way he's bending his body. I go this way. And again, I want him to really, he's not doing it, he's not bending real well, but I would like his body bent in the curvature of this circle. His shoulder has to get out. Right now he's putting a lot of weight on the right shoulder. I would really like it to help. And I don't have a whip, so I'm using the end of his lead rope. Okay, so, and then I'm going to back him up with this. I'm going to go get the bridle now. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I have him here. I am going to put this rope around his neck to get it out of the way. Again, I've got my bridle here. I'm going to put these reins around my shoulder here, and I'm going to actually just put the bridle around here because I want to see, you know, if he gets more nervous or whatever, or obstinate with the bridle in my hand. So I can still put his head down here. I'm still, you know, moving his head where I want it to be. I'm going to back him up. Backing up is a great tool. It just, you know, if the horse backs up, I can even back him up a little bit from the head. A little bit more resistant that way. I just like a nice soft horse. Okay, now he's eating the rope again. Okay, so for this, now I've got the bridle. I'm getting closer, closer, closer. So normally what I do, oh, the other thing is I have to put my hand around his face here. Because I'm going to be holding the bridle on his face. Alright. Now if I have the bridle here, he still has not done anything really, that ring around my hand, but he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't even flipped his head at all. I also am going to put my hand in his mouth. That bothers him a bit, and then he starts doing the head flipping thing. Now, if I hold my hand here, now I'm going to take it off because he stopped holding his head. Now, what Warwick was doing in his video is he kind of just focused on this part of the training. If he is doing this head flipping thing, I can actually put my, even that is a little bit bad. Normally I can put my hands in his mouth and he's okay with that. But when I have, okay, so now he's getting a little bad. So this, I just want to put this here, and I'm not going to do anything with the bridle yet. I'm just going to try to fix this part. That was better, so good boy. So as you can see, we'll just fix that part. Okay, now if I want to try and reposition this under his chin. Okay, so there he goes again. I went to do something with the bridle and he flipped his head. so then, of course, a Donkey Kong principle I would have to do. Yeah, so he's gotten a little worse. I don't even have the bridle here, and he fits his head. So then I have to go back down and do this again with his head. And then if he gets really bad, again, I have to do this. He's obviously his bunny basket is full, and then I have to take the bridle away and just walk him around and do something that he can be successful at. So we might not even get to the bridle today. It's always nice to have tools, and I didn't bring a massage whip or anything to get him to keep his shoulder. I will just try to bend his head as much as I can with this. Another principle that my trainer told me is bend is your friend. So you always want to make sure that the horse wheels around you, kind of gives you a little bevel. He's kind of walking up on my foot here. What I want. And then I'm going to back him up. So, you know, that might be all we could do today. We will keep trying with the bridle here. I don't know how long it's going to be. If I can't do this, we're going to run out of time. I'll just make the video part 2, and then we'll have another part 3, I guess. But, okay. So we're going to try this again with the bridle. So, so this takes a lot of time and work. And this is one of the reasons, because I'm an amateur, I am not a professional, I don't always have a lot of time. That's why I developed the get her done approach. So I can just put it on there. But groundwork is good. Your horse has to be responsive and cooperative to you, or else all this problems is going to go into the saddle as well. So I'm gonna, okay, so he's actually doing very well. I'm just gonna hold it here. Maybe I should just end with this, because I'm not going to bed angry here. But as soon as I try to bring it up, then he gets upset. So, I mean, I can keep doing this. So again, he's upset. And part of that, so if he starts flipping his head and I let him flip his head, that is kind of negative reinforcement, because as soon as he flips his head, I take the bridle off, and that tells him that it's okay to flip his head. We're going to try this again. Okay, so basically with this horse, we're going to have to and you might not even have the patience for this today, you know, but like I said, I have to end on a good note. So anyways, he's getting worse right now. So I am not going to be able to do this. I'm going to try just one more time. I'm going to cut part of this out because I don't want you to see it. But what he did is flipped his head. My mic went all over the place. I had to find it. I don't even know if it works anymore. So I am just going to end this session with this part, if I can. So again, we have to think of the Donkey Kong principles, which means we have to start at the beginning, go all the way back, and then he does okay here. Nope. I'm going to see if I can get this on his head. We're not going to put the bridle on today. Voila. Oops, no. So then he does that, and I just have to hold it here until he stops, or else he's going to get rewarded for flipping his head, which I don't want to do. Right? So then I go back, Donkey Kong, back, and then we do this again. Up. Beautiful. Okay, so that's it, guys. This is all I'm going to do for today. I try. Oh, there he goes again. Sometimes I just try to be a little sneaky. It's not working. So I'm just going to do this. And this is going to be the video today. And we are going to see if we can do this a little bit better the next time. So thank you so much for watching. I almost got it in his mouth, actually. He just won't open his mouth. There we go. Oh my God. Look, at the very end. Okay, very good, dude. And that's all I'm, whoops, no. And I'm gonna try to pull his, again, lower his head. He gets really fussy with it on. I'm just gonna, but I did what I accomplished, or I did what I wanted to do. This is also a problem. He's fussy with the bridle on. But there you go. Okay, and I'm gonna take it off here. He did what I wanted. I'm gonna make sure. Actually, what I'd like him to do is lower his head and take it off. And I'm gonna do that for now. We'll try this a little bit more again, see if we can get him a bit better. But that's the video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and smash the like button below. It really takes me a lot of time to make these videos. I enjoy doing it, but when you press the like button, it does tell YouTube that you like the content from me and you'd like to see more. So that would be wonderful. If you would like to see more videos like this, or we're probably going to do another follow-up video with this horse on bridling, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and bye for now.